In a distant part of the galaxy, far beyond the reach of human telescopes, an advanced alien species called the Valons lived in peace. They were curious beings, always searching for new worlds to study and understand. One day, their deep space probes detected something unusual, a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. It was Earth. The Valons had heard whispers about this world before, ancient warnings buried in cosmic archives, left by other civilizations. These warnings spoke of humans as unpredictable, dangerous, and fiercely protective of their home. But the Valons dismissed them. To them, humans seemed like simple creatures, too young and primitive to pose any real threat. Back on Earth, no one knew they were being watched. Life went on as usual for most people, but not for Emma Carter. Emma was an astrophysicist working at a research facility in the mountains. She spent her days studying the stars, looking for answers to questions that had fascinated humanity for centuries. Her colleague, Ryan Mitchell, often joked that she cared more about space than sleep. Together, they worked tirelessly, scanning the skies with powerful telescopes. One evening, while analyzing data from a recent observation, Emma noticed something strange. There were signals coming from deep space, patterns that didn't match anything natural. At first, she thought it might be interference or a glitch, but the signals kept repeating. They were deliberate. Emma showed the findings to Ryan, who was equally puzzled. "This isn't random noise," he said after hours of analysis. "Something, or someone, is trying to communicate." Excited and nervous, they decided to share their discovery with the rest of the team. News of the mysterious signals spread quickly, reaching even the highest levels of government. Soon, experts from around the world gathered to discuss what it could mean. Was this humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial life, or was it something else entirely? The question was answered sooner than anyone expected. Just days later, a fleet of sleek silver ships appeared in the sky, hovering silently above major cities across the globe. People stopped what they were doing to stare up in awe. The ships were unlike anything anyone had ever seen, smooth, metallic, and glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. After a tense hour of silence, a message was broadcast worldwide. It was calm and measured, spoken in perfect English. "We are the Valons," the voice said. "We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship." While many humans were thrilled by the idea of meeting aliens, others were suspicious. Emma and Ryan were chosen to represent humanity in the first official meeting with the Valons. They boarded a shuttle that took them to one of the massive alien ships floating high above Earth. Inside, they were greeted by two Valon leaders, Kale and Nira. Kale seemed thoughtful and curious, asking questions about human culture and history. Nira, on the other hand, treated them with thinly veiled disdain, as if humans were children playing at science. Emma tried to stay polite, but she couldn't help feeling uneasy. Something about Nira's attitude rubbed her the wrong way. The meeting ended with promises of cooperation. The Valons offered advanced technology in exchange for resources from Earth. World leaders debated the offer, weighing the benefits against the risks. Some argued that working with the Valons could solve many of humanity's problems, like hunger and disease. Others worried that trusting the aliens was a mistake. Despite the disagreements, humanity agreed to move forward cautiously. What no one realized yet was that the Valons weren't telling the whole truth, and the warnings hidden in the stars were about to prove all too real. As Emma and Ryan returned to Earth, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into uncharted territory. Little did they know, their lives, and the fate of the entire planet, were about to change forever. The days following the first meeting with the Valons were filled with both excitement and uncertainty. Humanity had never encountered anything like this before, and while many saw the aliens as a chance to leap forward in technology and understanding, others remained wary. Emma Carter and Ryan Mitchell found themselves at the center of it all. They were tasked with maintaining communication between humans and the Valons, a responsibility that weighed heavily on them. Every conversation, every exchange of information, felt like walking a tightrope. The Valons seemed eager to share their knowledge, but there was always an underlying tension, a sense that they weren't revealing everything. Kale, the more diplomatic of the two Valon leaders, often acted as the face of their species. He spoke kindly to Emma and Ryan, asking thoughtful questions about human history, art, and emotions. But Nira, his counterpart, made no effort to hide her disdain. During one meeting aboard the alien ship, she interrupted Cal mid-sentence to tell Emma bluntly, "Your kind is fascinating only because you've achieved so much in such a short time. But your unpredictability makes you dangerous." Emma bristled at the comment but kept her composure. She didn't want to give Nira the satisfaction of seeing her upset. Back on Earth, opinions about the Valons were divided. Some people celebrated the arrival of the aliens, calling it a new chapter for humanity. Others protested loudly, claiming the Valons couldn't be trusted. Governments around the world struggled to find a balance. They agreed to provide the Valons with resources, minerals, water, and energy, in exchange for advanced technology. At first, the deal seemed fair. The Valons introduced clean energy solutions that could power entire cities without harming the environment. They also shared medical breakthroughs that cured diseases once thought incurable. People began to see the aliens as saviors, bringing hope to a troubled world. But not everyone was convinced. A man named Jake Thompson, a former engineer turned whistleblower, started digging into the details of the agreement. He noticed strange patterns, unexplained shipments leaving Earth under the cover of night, unusual activity in remote areas where the Valons claimed they needed materials for experiments. Jake reached out to Emma and Ryan, sharing documents he had secretly obtained. The files hinted at something alarming. The Valons weren't just studying Earth's resources, they were studying humans themselves. According to the documents, the aliens were conducting experiments on human aggression, trying to understand why people fought each other so fiercely. Emma confronted Kale during their next meeting. "Is this true?" she asked, holding up a copy of one of the documents. "Are you using us as test subjects?" Kale hesitated, his expression unreadable. Finally, he admitted that some factions within the Valon leadership viewed humans as unpredictable variables. "Nira believes we must understand your nature to ensure our safety," he explained. "But I do not agree with her methods." Despite Cal's reassurances, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that things were spiraling out of control. The more humanity gave to the Valons, the more the aliens demanded. It wasn't long before reports surfaced of forced labor in regions where the Valons had set up operations. Villagers were being relocated, their homes destroyed to make way for mining projects. Protests erupted worldwide, and tensions between humans and the Valons grew worse by the day. Ryan tried to stay optimistic, believing that open dialogue could still fix the situation. "We need to keep talking to them," he told Emma. "If we stop communicating, it'll only make things worse." But even he had to admit that trust was fading fast. The Valons' promises of peace and cooperation now sounded hollow to many ears. As weeks turned into months, the cracks in the alliance became impossible to ignore. Small skirmishes broke out near Valon installations, fueled by anger and fear. Soldiers clashed with civilians who refused to leave their land. In response, the Valons deployed robotic enforcers to maintain order. These machines moved with cold efficiency, dispersing crowds and arresting anyone who resisted. The sight of them patrolling human cities sent a chill through everyone who saw them. Emma and Ryan knew they were running out of time. If something didn't change soon, the fragile bond between humans and the Valons would shatter completely. What had started as a hopeful partnership was rapidly turning into something darker. And deep down, Emma couldn't help but wonder if the warnings about humans, the ones the Valons had ignored, were starting to come true. The relationship between humans and the Valons continued to worsen. What had begun as an alliance filled with hope was now a fragile and strained partnership, teetering on the edge of collapse. The Valons demanded more resources from Earth, claiming they needed them to maintain the advanced technology they had shared. but many people began to feel like they were being taken advantage of. Villages were uprooted, forests cleared, and rivers drained, all for the sake of feeding the Veilon's endless needs. Emma Carter and Ryan Mitchell tried their best to mediate, but even they could see that trust was slipping away. Naira's presence only made things worse. She openly mocked human emotions, calling them weaknesses that held back progress. During one tense meeting aboard the Veilon ship, she sneered at Emma, saying, "Your kind clings to feelings instead of logic. It is why you struggle to evolve." Emma bit her tongue, refusing to let Naira provoke her, but inside, she burned with frustration. Kale, on the other hand, seemed genuinely troubled by the growing divide. He often pulled Emma aside after meetings, urging her to help him find a way to ease tensions. "Naira does not understand your species," he said one day. "She sees only what she wants to see." Despite Cal's efforts, the damage was done. Rumors spread across Earth about secret experiments conducted by the Veilons. Jake Thompson, the whistleblower, worked tirelessly to gather evidence. He uncovered footage of strange facilities hidden in remote deserts and icy wastelands. In these places, humans were being observed like lab animals, monitored, tested, and sometimes even harmed. When Jake showed the videos to Emma and Ryan, they were horrified. "This isn't just research," Ryan said, his voice shaking. "They're treating us like we're less than alive." Emma knew they couldn't stay silent any longer. She confronted Cal again, this time showing him the footage. His reaction surprised her. Instead of denying it, he looked deeply troubled. "I feared this would happen," he admitted. "There are factions among my people who believe humans must be controlled. They think your aggression makes you a threat to the galaxy." Emma stared at him, anger and disbelief mixing in her chest. "So you knew about this?" she asked. Cal hesitated before nodding slightly. "I hoped I could prevent it. But Naira, she has convinced others that studying you is necessary." Back on Earth, the resistance against the Veilons grew stronger. Led by Jake and supported by sympathetic scientists, ordinary people began organizing protests and acts of defiance. Factories that supplied the Veilons with materials were sabotaged. Workers refused to cooperate, risking arrest or worse. A young woman named Mia Dawson emerged as a key figure in the movement. She was a strategist with a sharp mind and a fearless attitude. Under her guidance, the resistance started planning bolder actions, determined to send a message to the aliens. Humanity would not be pushed around. As the conflict escalated, the Veilons responded with force. Their robotic enforcers became a common sight in cities, patrolling streets and crushing dissent. Skirmishes broke out between protesters and the machines, leaving both sides damaged. The situation reached a boiling point when the Veilons attempted to seize control of a major city under the guise of restoring order. Tanks rolled through the streets, and drones hovered overhead, broadcasting warnings for citizens to stay indoors. But instead of cowering, the people fought back. Armed with makeshift weapons and sheer determination, they clashed with the Veilon forces. Emma and Ryan watched the chaos unfold on the news, feeling torn. Part of them wanted to believe that peace was still possible, but another part knew the time for negotiation had passed. Humanity was done being treated as inferior. Emma turned to Ryan, her voice firm despite the fear in her eyes. "We can't let them win," she said. "If we don't stand up now, they'll keep taking until there's nothing left." Ryan nodded, though his expression was grim. "Then we fight," he said, "but we'll need more than courage. We'll need a plan, and allies who aren't afraid to take risks." Unbeknownst to them, Kale was also reaching a breaking point. Watching his own people oppress another species went against everything he believed in. As the resistance prepared for its next move, Kale made a decision that would change everything, for better or worse. The war between humans and the Veilons escalated quickly, turning Earth into a battleground. The resistance, led by Mia Dawson and supported by Emma Carter and Ryan Mitchell, fought fiercely against the alien forces. Using stolen Veilon technology, They developed weapons capable of disabling the aliens' advanced shields. These breakthroughs gave humanity a fighting chance, but the cost was high. Cities lay in ruins, families were torn apart, and the once blue skies were now clouded with smoke and ash. Despite the destruction, the human spirit refused to break. Kale watched the conflict unfold with growing unease. He had always believed that coexistence was possible, but Nera's arrogance and cruelty had pushed humanity to its limits. The Veilon leader saw humans as nothing more than obstacles to be removed, and her actions only fueled their determination to resist. Kale knew that if something wasn't done soon, the situation would spiral completely out of control. But challenging Nera meant risking his own position, and possibly his life. One night, Kale secretly contacted Emma and Ryan. He arranged a meeting in a secluded forest, far from prying eyes. When they arrived, he looked at them with a mixture of guilt and resolve. "I cannot stand by while my people destroy yours," he said. "Nera has gone too far, and I fear she will not stop until every human is either enslaved or dead." Emma crossed her arms, distrustful after everything they had endured. "Why should we believe you?" she asked sharply. "You've known about their experiments all along." Kale lowered his head, acknowledging her anger. "You're right to distrust me," he admitted, "but I want to help end this war, for both our sakes. There is a way to defeat the Veilon fleet, but it will require great sacrifice." He explained that the heart of the Veilon mothership, the massive command vessel orbiting Earth, was vulnerable. If it could be destroyed, the entire fleet would fall into disarray. However, reaching the core would mean infiltrating the heavily guarded ship, a mission almost certain to fail. Emma and Ryan exchanged a glance, weighing the risks. They knew how dangerous the plan was, but they also understood that it might be their only chance to turn the tide. "We'll do it," Emma said finally, her voice steady despite the fear in her chest. Kale nodded, relieved yet sorrowful. "I will provide you with access codes and maps of the ship," he said. "But know this, if you are caught, I cannot protect you." With Cal's help, the Resistance began preparing for the mission. A small team was assembled, including Emma, Ryan, Mia, and Jake Thompson. Each member brought unique skills to the operation. Emma's knowledge of alien tech, Ryan's engineering expertise, Mia's tactical brilliance, and Jake's fearless determination. They trained tirelessly, knowing their success, or failure, would determine the fate of humanity. The day of the mission arrived, heavy with tension. The team boarded a captured Veilon shuttle, using Cal's codes to bypass the fleet's defenses. As they approached the mothership, nerves ran high. The vessel loomed ahead, its surface gleaming like polished steel. Once inside, they moved cautiously through dimly lit corridors, avoiding patrols of robotic guards. Every step felt like walking on thin ice, one wrong move away from disaster. Maya took the lead, guiding the group based on Cal's map. Her sharp eyes caught every detail, ensuring they stayed on course. At one point, they encountered a squad of enforcers. Jake stepped forward, drawing their attention while the others slipped past. His bravery came at a cost. He was captured, leaving the team heartbroken but determined to press on. Finally, they reached the core chamber, a massive room filled with pulsating energy. Emma and Ryan worked together to plant explosives, their hands trembling but focused. As the timer started counting down, alarms blared throughout the ship. Guards closed in, forcing the team to fight their way back to the shuttle. It was chaos, a blur of shouts and laser fire. Just as they reached the exit, Kale appeared unexpectedly. He had defied Nera to ensure their escape. "Go," he urged, staying behind to hold off the pursuing guards. The team hesitated for a moment, then boarded the shuttle, hearts heavy with gratitude and grief. As they fled, the mothership erupted in a brilliant explosion, lighting up the sky like a second sun. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, hope flickered in the hearts of humanity. The destruction of the Veilon mothership sent shockwaves through their fleet. Without its guidance, the alien ships began to falter, their coordinated attacks turning into disorganized retreats. For humanity, it was a moment of triumph, but it came at a heavy price. The team that had infiltrated the mothership returned battered and heartbroken. Jake Thompson had sacrificed himself to ensure their success, and Cale, who had betrayed his own kind to help them escape, was nowhere to be found. His fate remained unknown, leaving Emma Carter and Ryan Mitchell filled with both gratitude and sorrow. Back on Earth, the Resistance celebrated the victory, but the celebration was somber. Cities were still in ruins, and countless lives had been lost. Mia Dawson stood before a crowd of survivors, her voice steady despite the fatigue etched on her face. "We've struck a blow against those who thought they could control us," she said. "But this isn't the end. We have to rebuild, not just our homes, but our hope. We've shown them what we're capable of, and now they'll think twice before underestimating us again." As the cheers died down, Emma and Ryan retreated to a quiet corner of the makeshift command center. They sat in silence for a while, the weight of everything they had been through pressing down on them. "Do you think Cale made it out alive?" Ryan finally asked, breaking the silence. Emma shook her head slowly. "I don't know," she admitted. "But if he did, I hope he finds a way to make things right. For his people and ours." Meanwhile, aboard one of the remaining Valon ships, chaos reigned. Nara was furious, pacing back and forth as she berated her subordinates for failing to stop the humans. "They're savages," she spat. "How could they have outsmarted us?" Her anger blinded her to the truth. Humanity's strength lay not in their technology or numbers, but in their unity and determination. When faced with oppression, they had banded together, refusing to give up even when the odds seemed impossible. Cale, however, was missing. Some believed he had perished during the explosion, while others whispered that he might have defected entirely. Either way, his betrayal left a void in the Valon leadership. Nira seized the opportunity to consolidate power, declaring herself the sole leader of the fleet. Under her command, the Valons prepared for one final assault, a desperate attempt to crush humanity once and for all. On Earth, the Resistance braced for the attack. Emma and Ryan worked around the clock, using every scrap of alien tech they had salvaged to strengthen humanity's defenses. They knew the upcoming battle would be the most critical one yet. If they failed, there would be no second chances. But if they succeeded, they could drive the Valons away for good. Mia devised a bold strategy to lure the remaining Valon ships into a trap. Using decoys and false signals, they created the illusion of a large human force waiting in orbit. The goal was to draw the aliens into a vulnerable position, where concentrated attacks could disable their ships. It was risky, but it was their best chance. When the day of the final battle arrived, the skies above Earth lit up with streaks of light as human fighters clashed with Valon vessels. The Resistance pilots flew with unmatched bravery, weaving through enemy fire and targeting weak points on the alien ships. Emma and Ryan monitored the battle from the ground, coordinating efforts and providing real-time updates to the pilots. Their hearts raced as explosions erupted in the sky, each one bringing them closer to victory or defeat. At the height of the battle, a lone figure appeared on the radar, Cale. He had somehow survived and now piloted a small Valon craft, firing on his own people. His actions turned the tide, giving the humans the opening they needed to strike. One by one, the Valon ships fell, their hulls cracking under the relentless assault. When the dust settled, the survivors looked up at the sky, which was finally clear of alien ships. Nera's forces had been defeated, and the Valons fled back to their galaxy, vowing never to return. Humanity had won, but the cost was etched deeply into their hearts. In the aftermath, Emma and Ryan stood side by side, gazing at the stars. They knew the scars of the war would take years to heal, but they also knew something else. Humanity had proven itself stronger than anyone, including the Valons, had ever imagined. The war was over, but the scars it left behind were deep. Earth bore the marks of battle, burnt landscapes, crumbling cities, and countless lives lost. Yet amidst the devastation, there was also a sense of renewal. Humanity had faced an enemy far more advanced and emerged victorious. It was a hard-won triumph, one that reminded everyone of their strength and resilience. Emma Carter and Ryan Mitchell found themselves at the center of this new chapter, tasked with helping humanity rebuild while ensuring such a conflict would never happen again. Cal's role in the final battle became a symbol of hope. Though he had vanished after disabling several Valon ships, his actions spoke louder than words. He had risked everything to help humanity, proving that even among those who saw humans as inferior, some could still recognize their worth. When reports surfaced that Cal might have survived and gone into hiding, many people hoped he would return. For now, though, his fate remained a mystery. Emma and Ryan threw themselves into the work of recovery. They collaborated with scientists and engineers around the world to reverse engineer Valon technology for peaceful purposes. The energy solutions once used to power alien weapons were repurposed to rebuild homes and restore damaged ecosystems. Medical advancements originally designed by the Valons to study human biology were adapted to heal rather than harm. Slowly but surely, life on Earth began to improve. Mia Dawson played a crucial role in this effort as well. Her leadership during the war earned her widespread respect, and she used her influence to advocate for unity. "We've shown we can stand together against any threat," she told crowds gathered in newly rebuilt towns. "Now let's use that same spirit to build something better, a world where no one is left behind." Her words inspired millions, and communities came together to support each other, sharing resources and knowledge. Despite the progress, not everyone trusted aliens anymore. Some argued that all extraterrestrial contact should be avoided in the future, fearing another invasion. Others believed that humanity needed to prepare itself for whatever might come next. Emma often found herself caught between these two perspectives. She understood the fear, but she also knew that isolation wasn't the answer. "If we close ourselves off, we'll miss opportunities to learn and grow," she said during a global summit on post-war policies. "But we also need to protect ourselves. We can't forget what happened." Ryan agreed, adding, "Knowledge is our greatest weapon. By studying the Valon's technology, we can ensure no one ever underestimates us again." Together, they proposed creating a global defense network, combining human ingenuity with alien innovations to safeguard Earth from future threats. The idea gained traction, and soon teams of researchers and strategists were working to make it a reality. As months passed, strange sightings began to emerge. Unexplained lights in the sky, mysterious signals similar to the ones Emma and Ryan had detected before the Valons arrived. At first, panic spread, with some believing the aliens had returned. But investigations revealed something unexpected. The signals weren't coming from outside Earth. They were messages left behind by Cal, hidden within the Valon tech recovered after the war. In them, he urged humanity to remain vigilant and to continue exploring the stars, not out of fear, but out of curiosity. Emma read the messages late one night, her heart swelling with emotion. "He really cared about us," she whispered to Ryan, who sat beside her. "Maybe more than his own people did." Ryan nodded thoughtfully. "He gave us a chance to prove ourselves, and we did. Now it's up to us to honor that." Humanity stepped forward into an uncertain future, guided by lessons learned from the past. The stars above no longer seemed so distant or daunting. Instead, they represented endless possibilities, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, courage and determination could light the way. And somewhere, perhaps watching from afar, Cal smiled, knowing he had helped spark a brighter dawn for both species. Years passed since the war with the Valons, and Earth transformed in ways no one could have imagined. The scars of battle faded as cities rose from the ashes, rebuilt stronger and more united than before. Humanity had learned painful lessons about trust, resilience, and the cost of freedom. Emma Carter and Ryan Mitchell became symbols of hope, their names spoken alongside those who had fought bravely during the conflict. Together, They helped guide humanity into a new era, one defined by progress but tempered by caution. The global defense network they proposed became a reality, safeguarding Earth while encouraging exploration of the stars. Using a mix of human ingenuity and repurposed Valon technology, scientists developed tools to scan deep space for potential threats. At the same time, they worked on peaceful missions, sending probes to nearby planets and moons, searching for signs of life beyond Earth. The message was clear. Humanity would not hide from the universe, but it would also not forget the dangers lurking among the stars. Kel's messages continued to inspire people around the world. Though he never reappeared, his words reminded everyone that even in the darkest times, there were individuals willing to stand up for what was right. Some speculated that he might still be alive, living in secret somewhere far away. Others believed he had sacrificed himself to ensure humanity's survival. Either way, his legacy lived on. A statue of Kel was erected in the heart of the newly rebuilt capital city, symbolizing the bond between humans and those who chose to help them. Emma often visited the statue, reflecting on everything that had happened. She remembered Jake Thompson's courage, Mia Dawson's leadership, and Ryan's unwavering support. Each of them had played a part in saving Earth, and she felt grateful for their sacrifices every day. "We didn't just survive," she once told a group of students visiting the site. "We grew stronger because of what we went through." That's something worth remembering. Ryan, too, found purpose in teaching the next generation. He traveled the world, sharing stories of the war and explaining how humanity had overcome its challenges. "Fear can paralyze you," he often said, "but it can also push you to do incredible things. The key is choosing how to respond." His lectures inspired young minds to dream big, whether it was exploring space or solving problems here on Earth. Meanwhile, humanity's relationship with the stars changed forever. The mysterious signals Kel had left behind hinted at other civilizations out there, some friendly, others perhaps hostile. Rather than shy away, Earth's leaders decided to reach out cautiously, sending peaceful messages into the void. They hoped to find allies among the cosmos, beings who valued cooperation over conquest. One evening, as Emma stood under a clear sky filled with twinkling stars, she felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. Beside her, Ryan smiled. "Do you think we'll ever meet them?" he asked, nodding toward the heavens. Emma thought for a moment before answering. "Maybe. But even if we don't, knowing they're out there reminds us we're not alone. And that's enough for now." In the end, humanity emerged from the war not just as survivors, but as explorers ready to face whatever lay ahead. The warnings about humans, the ones the Valons had ignored, proved true. Humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and fiercely protective of their home. But they were also capable of kindness, innovation, and unity when it mattered most. As Earth looked toward the future, its people carried with them the memory of those who had fought and died to protect it. They vowed never to take their freedom for granted, always remembering the price paid to secure it. And though the stars remained vast and unknown, humanity faced them with courage, ready to write the next chapter of its story among the cosmos.